Today we'll be cooking black bean chicken. So first we're going to clean and marinate our chicken. The first step is to gently rinse the chicken underneath the tap. After you clean the chicken, we're going to just trim the fatty bits off and cut the chicken into smaller strips. So after you cut the chicken into small strips, we're going to start marinating. At the start, we're going to add 1 tablespoon of ginger powder. You can also use fresh ginger for this and make sure it's diced. I tend to use ginger powder for larger meats and diced fresh ginger for mince. Now add 3 tablespoons of cooking wine and we're just going to give that a stir. After we give it a stir, we're going to add 1 teaspoon of bicarb soda. And we're going to add 1 tablespoon of black bean sauce, which is made from goat's. After that, we're going to add 4 tablespoons of black bean soy sauce, and 2 tablespoons of regular soy sauce. But you can usually add 6 tablespoons of soy sauce here. I use 2 kinds because the black bean soy sauce gives the deep. And now we're going to let that sit in the fridge for 6 to 9 hours.
We should be up and running in say 69. No, 60.
So after letting the chicken sit in the fridge for around 6 to 9 hours, we're going to start prepping our onions. So we're going to use onions with this dish. So what we're going to do is we're going to peel the onions, we peel around the 2 dirty layers, the 2 dry layers, and then we're going to cut along the grain, into smaller bits. Cut it across the grain, against the grain, because that way it's much more easier to slice and becomes into slices better. Well, we're going to chuck that bottom root off as well. We're going to put that into separate containers to use afterwards. And now onto cooking the chicken. First step is to heat your pan up. And we're going to add a bit of oil to the pan. We're going to swirl the oil around so the oil's nice and even, and then we're going to slowly add our chicken in. We're going to keep the container that we marinate the chicken in onto the side because the leftover sauces will use that afterwards as well. After that, we'll put the lid on and let it cook. After we let it cook for a while, we're going to just give that a swirl so that it can cook more evenly, and we're going to put that into the bowl. And we're going to add some oil in, and we're going to chuck in our onions. Add a bit of salt so the juices from the onion can come out more easily, and we're going to give that a twirl around and let it cook. While that's cooking, we're going to chop some spring onion. So I'm going to grab 1, 2 spring onions, and we're going to wash that onion a bit, trim off the part, and we're just going to cut that into smaller bits. And this will serve as a bit of a garnish on top to give it a bit more green color. So after that's happened, we're just going to give the pan a bit more twirl, cook the onions more evenly, and put the lid back on. So after a few more minutes, we're just going to chuck in our meat, and we're going to put it on the side. Now we're going to add in the sauce in the marinade bowl, and we're going to add in some more sauce ingredients for the sauce. I'm going to grab our goat's, and we're going to add in 1 tablespoon of black bean sauce, and we're just going to clean that underneath with the meat, and we're going to add in some soy sauce as well. Mix that in thoroughly so that just sauces are cooked in. We're going to add in a bit of half a teaspoon of MSG as well, And we're gonna chuck in our spring onions that we cut earlier. Stir that in. Evenly, we're gonna let that cook a bit more. And we're gonna put that into a bowl for serve. This. And that's it.